The purpose of this exercise is to have us write a program, a Java program, that's going to read a simple text file, and that's going to actually segment all the lines to isolate the words in it and store those words so that we can easily display the non-duplicate words in ascending order. So ascending order is not something to worry about. You're going to see that when we use an iterator on our Java collection, it's going to provide us with exactly the order that the requirement asks us for. The part that is interesting is simply that you have to choose the right data structure, the right collection framework, the right collection, sorry, Java collection, to store your words that you read from that file. Okay, so the idea is every time you have an exercise where there's this idea of we are not going to keep duplicates, we are going to go from a list pretty much to a set. Well, guess what? The only trick, the only trap is really to realize that you need to use a set, okay? So we are going in this exercise to use a specific implementation of the Java collection framework set interface. We're going to use a tree set, and we're going to store all the words that we read from the file. So let's take it one step at a time. So the one thing in this exercise also that stands out a little is that it needs a run argument. It needs a command line argument. So there are different ways you can do that. You can compile inside your IDE. You can run from inside your IDE, and each IDE has a way to allow you to specify what are the command line argument to pass to your Java class when it's being run. Okay, so here I'm using jgrasp, and if you want the details on how to get that little window here, post on the forum. I'll put something on the website, and I'll just give that trick outside the video because it's not a sure thing that we're going to still be using jgrasp, in future semester. So I don't want to tie the videos too much to the specific IDE we are using. Okay, but every single IDE, whether it's Eclipse, NetBeans, jgrasp, BlueJ, is going to allow you. There's a menu somewhere that allows you to have access to this. And if you don't want to use that, well, then you can still compile your code with the IDE and run it simply in the command line. Again, if you have a specific question about that, post on the forums. So right now you can see that my argument is already ready here. I'm going to pass an argument to my program, which is the name of the file, data.txt, and this is what I have right now in data.txt, 1, 2, 3, blah. Okay, a few words, a few lines of text, just for me to read and process. So we're going to start with processing our argument. Okay, so the simplest thing we can do, first micro feature sort of, println. I want to make sure that I can capture actually my argument. So this is going to be args, the array that passes parameter index 0. So if I specify data.txt, I should get data.txt in the console. Well, let's start with that. Compile, run. Okay, so we can get our argument. Now, what are we going to do with this? Well, first we're going to make sure that the user provides us with an argument. So we are going to do a little test here, and we are going to look at the length of this array of string named args. And if it's different than 1, we expect just one file name, right? We are going to display a little error message. Okay, we are going to say something like, you need to specify the file name as argument. There we go. And then, if that happens, system, we're going to use the exit method, okay, to get out of our code. So if I am not given the right number of argument, okay, which should be exactly 1, then forget it, I'm interrupting execution. So once this is out of the way, let's have something a little bit more readable than args square bracket 0. Okay, so I'm going to use a variable file name, and I'm going to store inside of it args of 0. Okay, and then again println file name, just to make sure that everything is working. I'm going to compile. I'm going to run. So one argument, it works. Another here, I'm adding another argument. Okay, I don't need to recompile actually. Oops. Run. There we go. You need to specify the file name as argument. So, and if I don't have anything, last little test, you need to specify the file name as argument. Okay, so it looks like it's working. Okay, So we have this part out of the way. So the next step for us is to try to read data from that file, okay? So we have done that in previous modules of this course. So every time you do I/O, you know, there's a chance that you are going to have like an exception being raised. So we are going to do a try catch block like this. And system dot, so I'm printing to, oops, I cannot type, okay. System, instead of doing system.out, I'm going to do system.error, but you could do system.out, this is okay. I'm going to just display information on the error channel about, you know, the error, the exception that we potentially encounter here. And then, well, I would like to open the file, right? So that's going to take a scanner. I'm creating a new object of class scanner, and I pass to it a new object of class file with the file name that I was given as argument to my code. Okay. Well, let's just try this. Okay. I like to do things in increments. So compile. Okay, that's fine. Well, okay, it's just displaying for now file name here. Well, it looks like I didn't raise any exceptions, so apparently it found the file. The file was in the same folder as the Java file for this class. So everything seems to be working fine. I'm removing that system.out.println because I know that I can read the argument just fine, so I don't need to keep checking that. And I'm going to instead put back this thing that I erroneously erased, and I'm going to instead try to do something with my file to make sure that I can read, you know, the lines of the file. So let's read one line at a time. Okay, this is what we have done in the past. So while my scanner is in, so while in as line, so I make sure that there's more to read. Okay. And I'm going to read something, so line equal in dot next line. Okay, something like that. And that's it. For now, I'm going to just make sure that this is working first. So I'm going to display something like, you know, an arrow followed by the line that I read from the file. Okay, so I should see, where is my file? My text file is 1, 2, 3 and then blah. So I should see that we are reading here the line 1, 2, 3 and then the line blah. And that should be it. So let's see if that is working already. Well, okay. This is not as line. Oops, sorry about that. So we're going to fix that as next line. Okay. Compile. And now we are ready to, let me check. Yeah, we're ready to run it, I think. So first line 1, 2, 3, second line blah. Okay, this is exactly what's in my file. So okay, I always incrementally, right? I make sure that I can actually read this file, read every line before to go further and do what the requirement of the exercise asks me to do, which is to split the line into words and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's going to be actually our next step. We are going to split that line into generally the term used for that kind of stuff is tokens, okay, lexical tokens. So we are going to split it into tokens that are going to represent each a word. So we have a nice split method. I'll let you refer to the documentation of the split method from the string class, okay. I can call split online, and I'm going to specify what is known as a regular expression, so I don't ask you to know. We're not going to study regular expression in this course in detail, okay? But this is going to allow us to tell the split method, listen, this is what I want you to use as separators to distinguish, you know, between where a word starts and where a word ends, pretty much. What is used to separate, actually, words from one and the other. So I'm going to use, actually I'm going to cheat, I'm going to use cut and paste because it's kind of a pain to retype that. So there we go. I'm really typing fast on this one. So I have a string array, okay, I call it tokens. So line.split, I call the split method on my line string, and it's going to return to me an array of string. Each element of the array of string corresponds to a word that has been identified according to this definition of what is going to separate one word from the other. okay? So instead of doing a system.out.println of the entire line, because we know that's working already, right? I can do a quick loop, I equals 0, I lesser than tokens dot length, okay? So it's an array, so length is not a method, doesn't take parentheses. I plus plus, so counter control loop here. And for each element, I'm going to do something which is just displayed, okay? So I'm going to do system.out.println, why not? Why not the arrow? And I'm going to say, I want to display tokens index I. So this should allow me to see on the screen, regardless of, you know, the structuring lines of my file, to see all the words contained in the file. And again, you know, the mindset here is I should not worry about storing those tokens, you know, in a set or in a tree set or something like that, if I am not sure first that I can actually read them and that what I read is correct, okay? So I'm going to run it, 1, 2, 3, blah. So let's go back to our text here and say, for example, 3 again, okay? I want some duplicate, blah. Oops. All right, so we have been adding a little bit of stuff, okay? Let's go back here, let's run on this. So for now, if we have redundant occurrences of words, you can see that we are not processing that yet, okay? So 3 is appearing here. So interestingly, we have not separated based on punctuation marks. So the punctuation mark are considered here to be part of the word. Another thing that's interesting, and we could fine-tune that, okay? We just don't really care for this exercise. It's not the main object, okay? But also the apostrophe, the contraction here is also considered to be like an entire word, etc. So all right, so we have a little bit more. And a little bit more evolved example here, and you can see also, of course, nothing is alphabetical. This is the order of occurrence of the word in the file. So we still have quite a little bit of work to do, but we are going to take it one little step at a time. So we are capable to split the lines into tokens. Now, all we need to do really is store those tokens here, tokens index I. So every time we find a token, okay, we should store it inside of a Java collection. And in this case, the specific collection we're going to use is going to be a set, more specifically an implementation of a set of string, which is a tree set of string. And I'm going to call this, well, let's be original, my set, okay? And I'm going to say this is new, oh, I cannot type today, new tree set of string and parentheses, okay? So I could remove that, actually, that's something about generics, okay? I could use a diamond operator, but let it be for now. That doesn't hurt anything to retype string here. And you'll have time to dig further into generics, probably in your next advanced Java class. So right now, instead of simply printing them, let's add them to our set. So my set.add tokens index I. All right, so we have something nice here. We add every token to the set, and then what? So this is the end of our try. Can we see catch? There we go. So we are here after we are done reading everything from the file and hopefully storing it correctly in that tree set. So now one good thing to do would be to display the content of the tree set, just to make sure you know that, well, that all the words are there, and that they are there only one time, and that they are displayed back, you know, in the ascending order like we're supposed to do. So we're going to use an iterator. So iterator, let's call it it equal my set dot iterator. So I get the iterator from my set. And then I'm going to display system.out.println, just a little message saying here are the words in ascending order. Okay, just a quick message. And then I'm going to use my iterator while it as next. All right. And while it has next, then I am going to do system. Actually, I have this still in the cut and paste buffer. There we go. Let's be lazy, shall we? So I'm going to display not token index I, but I'm going to display it dot next. So the next string inside my set. So I'm relying on the order that comes from the basic iterator. Okay, it just so happened that this is what the requirement of this exercise are going to be happy with. So that's perfect. Okay, we don't have to do anything fancy there. So I'm iterating over the set, and because it's a set, this is the whole trick, you know, of using set in those kind of application. Because it's a set, when I add the token, if it so happens that I have the same word several times, well, it's going to be added only one time, right? That's the definition of a set. So let's compile this. No compilation error, always a good news. And let's try to run that. So what do we have? Again, so first it's alphabetical, so that's good. And then where is our friend 3? It's there, and it appears only one time. So this is good. So we could run more tests. I'll let you play with the code if you want and run more tests. But pretty much, yeah, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to put it so that everything can show on the last screen of the video. This is pretty much our solution to that little exercise.